At the turn of the 20th century, a man named Julius Rosenwald made a lot of money and gave most of it away. Rosenwald was born in Illinois in 1862, the son of German Jewish immigrants. He dropped out of high school, but after working in the family garment business, he had the opportunity to sign on as an early partner at Sears Roebuck. He did, and he made so much money that he became one of the richest men in the United States. He was so passionate about working against racism that he gave away the modern equivalent of $1 billion. Over $500 million went to build thousands of schools for Black children in the segregated South in partnership with Booker T. Washington and the towns that those schools served. He also gave gifts to historically Black colleges and universities and fellowships to Black intellectuals and artists to support and amplify their work, among gifts to many other organizations. Consider the impact that Reverend Dr. King had on our society as a justice and thought leader, and in training a generation of people to organize for justice formally and informally through his teaching and example. In looking at the shoulders on whom Dr. King himself stood, I realized that so many of the Black intellectuals and artistic leaders from the 20s, 30s, and 40s were Rosenwald Fellows. There were approximately 1,000 fellows, and all of our lives have been touched by their work and legacy, not to mention the legacy of the Rosenwald schools. Graduates of the Rosenwald schools include John Lewis and Maya Angelou. Fellows include luminaries such as Marian Anderson, James Baldwin, Shirley Graham Du Bois, W.E.B. Du Bois, Ralph Waldo Ellison, Langston Hughes, and Zora Neale Hurston. Other fellows whose names aren't quite as well known include Charles Drew, who brought us blood transfusions, William Allison Davis, a leading social anthropologist and educator who changed the cultural bias of standardized IQ tests, and Evelyn Boyd Granville, a mathematician and astronomer who worked on Project Apollo to help ensure that American astronauts would land first and safely on the surface of the moon and return to Earth. In a different part of the speech we heard from Dr. King just now, he talks about an encounter with a white man who makes an argument about Black Americans needing to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And King says, I went on to remind him that the other problem that we have faced over the years is that the society placed a stigma on the color of the Negro, on the color of his skin. Because he was Black, doors were closed to him that would not close to other groups. And need to say to people that you are to lift yourself by your own bootstraps, but it is to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself up by his own bootstraps. And the fact is that millions of Negroes, as a result of centuries of denial and neglect, have been left bootless. In that speech, King talks about the power of the white backlash and systems of white power that increased poverty among Black people, decreased access to education, even after Brown versus the Board of Education, because of the power of white supremacy culture. The fact that when provided with an opportunity and power through education and funding, so many Black Americans in the early 20th century did such transformational work is a testament to the power of what people can do when barriers are removed from their path, when they're given a pair of boots. I share that story not to lift up Rosenwald per se, but to illuminate the impact that one person can have when they use their power to help other people to the best of their ability. Part of the work to confront white supremacy culture and bias in ourselves is in ourselves, in our hearts and minds. As we do that work, we can pay attention to where we have power and opportunity to make change in the system, to make a difference in somebody else's life and the lives of many. It might be as simple as naming white supremacy culture in the moments when we experience it, when bias and assumptions are coming into play in the structure, decision-making, or language of groups of which we are a part. Or it might be being part of a major decision that's going to impact a lot of lives, from politics to education or art. Among Dr. King's many gifts, including oratory and writing, organizing and politics, he created opportunities for those with power in the system to share that power with the Black community. He invited white clergy and volunteers to support the work of civil rights and correctly called them out when they didn't respond. We can't know the impact of our lives and the impact our lives and choices will have. We can't see all the ripples coming out from our own lives, but they are there. What are the opportunities in front of each of us to use our power to help someone else? Maybe a moment of compassion for one person, or maybe joining in a movement for justice. It's all important. It's all part of the web of interconnection, of mutuality. Tomorrow is the celebration of Dr. King's birthday. I invite each of us to consider the opportunities that may be in front of us to confront white supremacy culture, that maybe, sometimes, some of us have the privilege of ignoring. And then to consider what the opportunities are that we have to interrupt that culture. In Dr. King's words, somewhere we must come to see that social progress never rolls in on the wheels of inevitability. It comes through the tireless efforts and the persistent work of dedicated individuals. And without this hard work, time itself becomes an ally of the primitive forces of social stagnation. And so we must have time, and we must realize that the time is always right to do right. My call for us all today is to pay attention to opportunities to use our power to help each other and the world, to listen for the call and to act. The time is always right to do right. So may it be, and amen.
Good morning. For most of you seated out here, there needs no introduction to Gwendolyn VanSant, but we have a few friends and visitors here today, and I thought it would be worthy to say that Gwendolyn is a longtime member of UUMSB. She is currently seated on our Board of Trustees. She came to Berkshire County at 15 on a scholarship, W.E.B. Du Bois Scholarship at Simon's Rock. And after graduation, she stayed. And she co-founded an organization that a lot of us know, Multicultural BRIDGE. And what a pleasure it has been to watch this organization grow, gain power in our county, in our state, and beyond. It's something that I think a lot of us just relish watching. So today, as Carol said, it's a Share the Plate Sunday. We do this once a month. The social justice team really takes care in deciding these 12 organizations that we share some funding with. And today it is Multicultural BRIDGE. Go Gwendolyn.
Thank you, Tommy. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for that sermon. It brought me to tears. Thank you. So I hope this isn't too long, but I'm just coming out of a 3-day retreat at Bridge. We always help steward Dr. King's celebration in our county. And this year, because it is our 15th anniversary, we did an in-service instead. So we did a day of a staff retreat, a day of a board and staff combined retreat. And then we had an ecosystem of people that have touched Bridge over the last 15 years that was with me yesterday for the day. So I'm going to bring some of those things to you because as a co-founder, I'm still quite filled up with it, and it just seems to represent our work in the best way. So first, I wanted to start with a quote, Ruby D, and she says, "The greatest gift is not being afraid to question." And I want to describe Bridge in this phrase. We are a beloved and embodied community, serving as a catalyst for change and integration. We're promoting mutual respect and understanding while shifting resources for positive social impact. We're disrupting oppressive systems with a values-aligned strategy for movement building. We've been certified by the state for 12 years as minority-run and women-run. In the last year, we've been certified by the state and federal government as a culturally specific led program with culturally specific programs, which means that the programs that we design are really responding to the needs of the minoritized populations, and that the leadership of the organization also reflects that. So with those, we went into this weekend, and the first thing we did was ask people to play with the acronym BRIDGE, which originally, with my co-founder, stands for Berkshire Resources for the Integration of Diverse Groups in Education. So we went through those letters, and I just wanted to share some, not all, but some of the adjectives that our staff used for those letters when asked, what does BRIDGE mean to you? So for B, we had brave, bold, beautiful, bonita, bountiful, beloved. For R, we had resilient, righteous, responsive, reflective, reliable, resourceful. For I, we had intuitive, inventive, inclusive, innovative, intelligent, immovable, inspirational, integrity, inquisitive, integration. For D, we had dauntless, delightful, determined, devoted, diligent, deliberate, divine, diverse, democratic. And for G, we had genuine, generous, gallant, gleeful, gracious, a gem, grateful, groundbreaking, a guide. And for E, we had energetic, evolving, enthusiastic, emotive, empathetic, empathic, effervescent, elevating, effective, and elemental. So those are some of the ways that we would describe BRIDGE. That's how our staff feels about the organization that they work for. And then in the ecosystem, we asked for gestures. The gestures were about being a catalyst. They were about a Buddha's hand for pause and reflection. It was about love. It was about hugs. It was about namaste. So these are, when I wanted to see what does BRIDGE mean in the community and our relevance, these were some of the things that came back that really resonated with me. I wanted to share those to start, and then I wanted to talk about the programs. And you just heard from Stephanie on our team and Kate just a couple months ago about mutual aid, and we appreciate how this congregation is supporting that work. So I just wanted to give you a few numbers about what that looks like. We're in our 3rd year uninterrupted since the pandemic started of serving food in our community. This year, 2022, 29 weeks, we have almost every other week, plus a couple extras, we've brought food to families that are vulnerable in the food security picture. 43 weeks, we've brought prepared food to families' homes. We serve 500 individuals, 130 families. We have a team of 74 volunteers and staff. We have $41,000 worth of in-kind donations and more. That's what we could track. We have $30,000 in grant support. We have an ecosystem of 12 local farms, agricultural and food and public health partners. And then in this last year, we had Health Resources and Action support us in that response and extend the work. And that's how we were able to continue. And then moving into this next year, we have a community development block grant. And I'll tell you what that's helping us do in a moment. And one of the great things when I was up here last, I was standing with Mark from Berkshire Bounty, and he so proudly talked about the food work that they're doing shifting and being culturally relevant. And that's a direct impact of our training and our partnership. The People's Pantry and Berkshire Bounty have accepted Bridge into the Food Network and have adopted some of the teaching that we model and share. Another aspect of our mutual aid program is land access. We're at the Great Barrington Fairgrounds with 27 raised beds. We have installed, in partnership with Greenagers, home community gardens. And we have 3 more offers for more farm and garden sites in Sheffield, Otis, and Lee. So people that are sharing their land so our constituents can grow their own food and have real agency about their food. So that's a snapshot of mutual aid. And then the other programs that you've heard about or this congregation's heard about, and if you're new, we can share things with you later on, but our Happiness Toolbox and Youth Leadership Program has been running for 12 years. And what I wanted to share with you, I'm so proud that a young woman, a Black young woman from Togo, participated in our program 6 years ago with Pittsfield High School and MCLA and Bridge in partnership. And then she's now graduated a semester early with a degree in public health and is a full-time staff member running our leadership programs for youth and our public health programs. In our Towards Racial Justice, same kind of impact. We've been at that for 12 years. And one of our commitments has been in accountability with Macedonia Baptist Church. And so I can proudly say that now a member of that church, Delano Burrows, he's the nephew of Reverend Dozier who passed, is on our staff. And he'll be coordinating our racial justice work. That's an outcome of our accountability and partnership with Macedonia in our racial justice work. And then our Women to Women program, 12 years old, that has supported immigrant women finding a home here, having the resources that they need, leaving challenging situations. We have 2 women, Sylvia Soria from Ecuador and Esther Vina from the Dominican Republic, that are running that program. So what I feel proud about as a founder is that Bridge is being held by people that have been helped by Bridge and understand Bridge and their DNA and the best outcomes that I could imagine. And so the thing that's coming together, mutual aid has been supporting all these programs. And now the big announcement that I had today was that we have a block grant from through the CARES Act. And that's $200,000 to extend our mutual aid program so we can teach people how to preserve food. We can store food. We don't have to set up around the county. Many people here have helped us with this. Set up on Fridays, take down on Fridays. We will have our own site. So I just signed a lease a day or 2 ago. We just pulled the permits with the town of Great Barrington. So Bridge will for the first time have its own program site for all the things I just described. So we're very, very excited. Yeah. Thank you. That's going to be our Solidarity Meeting House, and that is going to be our Solidarity Pantry Kitchen that goes alongside our Solidarity Farm and Garden. It will be a BIPOC center focused on the health and well-being of our BIPOC community in Southern Berkshire, but whoever else wants to come. So that's very, very exciting. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And the block grant supports a refrigerated van and sort of the infrastructure, and we've fundraised in our community for the renovations that have to happen in this space. Because we're extending we're building a pantry basically in a kitchen space. The meeting house part is really being funded by our supporters. And we're going to have 2 counseling rooms in there because another grant that Bridge has gotten is a Victims of Crime Act grant, where we're supporting Berkshire women and girls that have experienced trafficking, domestic violence, or any kind of racialized discrimination or violence in our community. Bridge is a culturally specific response to that. We're partnering with Elizabeth Freeman Center, with the Sheriff's Office, and really providing this safe place for Berkshire County women of color and our friends. So that's what that meeting house will be holding. And we're doing lots of fun things too, bringing back our multicultural dinners. We're holding hair salons for our women of color and lots of other fun activities. So the ask here is that you support us if you can with funding, but you also amplify the story of Bridge and what we've been able to do and who our leaders are. And also then, if you have any kind of equipment or time on your hands, we're definitely going to have a lot of work parties. So if you keep in touch with us, we'll reach out to you in that way. So That's what I wanted to say today. I'm celebrating. I'm very happy and I'm very proud and I'm grateful to this congregation for how at a time when I didn't have something like the Solidarity Meeting House, this was my home. And I'm really grateful. I'm going to close with 2 quotes. Shirley Chisholm, "You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas." And then MLK, "You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love." Thank you.